Welcome to Coffee with Democrats, a sensible platform for progressive conversations. Coffee with Democrats is a grassroots movement dedicated to hearing from Democrats, candidates, legislators, and friends from all political backgrounds who want great conversations. Coffee with Democrats is committed to increase Democrat voter registration and Democrat voter turnout by making voting more exciting and meaningful. And now here's your host of Coffee with Democrats, Kevin Dawson.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. Man, I'm excited about today for two reasons. First one is not the most important reason. That today
Welcome to Coffee with Democrats, a sensible platform for progressive conversations. Coffee with Democrats is a grassroots movement dedicated to hearing from Democrats, candidates, legislators, and friends from all political backgrounds who want great conversations. Coffee with Democrats is committed to increase Democrat voter registration and Democrat voter turnout by making voting more exciting and meaningful. And now here's your host of Coffee with Democrats, Kevin Dawson.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. Man, I'm excited about today for two reasons. First one is not the most important reason. That today's the first day for me to come back from vacation. Second is the most important reason, and I'm really excited about this. We're going to have a conversation with Nana Dankwa. Nana's been a friend of ours for a while. We've kind of been around each other with the Democratic Party, doing different things at the state level up in Tulsa, down in Ardmore. And anyway, we've just spent so much time and we've grown to really appreciate Nana, and we want to do everything we can to support him. So Nana, thanks for coming on Coffee with Democrats.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be before you guys and have the opportunity to discuss my candidacy for the open state representative seat in House District 90.
Well, we've also got with us Scott Hamilton. Scott, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I am so great. It's great to have you back and to be back on our schedule now, because I swear some of the candidates that we've talked to this year, I mean, I finished these conversations and I feel like I'm walking on air because we have so many talented, committed candidates, and probably none more so than Nana. So I'm really excited about today's program.
Exactly. We are excited too. So before we get started here, we got a couple of housekeeping announcements. So listeners to this show, please go out onto your social media right now and tell all of your followers that you're listening to Coffee with Democrats, and welcome them to come on and listen to this show, and introduce them to Nana, because he's a great candidate. He's running for House District number 90 out of Oklahoma City, but he's a great candidate. Not only is he going to help House District number 90, he's going to help all Democrats all across the state. So, that's why we want everybody to come on and come onto this, onto your social media. So we're available on Twitter. We're going to be on Facebook. We're going to be on YouTube Live. So if you're listening in and you want to tell people how to watch us, on YouTube Live, it's at Coffee with Democrats 7998. Again, @Coffee with Democrats 7998. On Facebook Live, it's just very simple. Coffee with Democrats. That's as simple as it gets. Just type in Coffee with Democrats and you'll see our show on there. And on both YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, You'll see whenever we're live, you'll see the little icon up in the corner up here, and it'll be glowing, and that glow up there, we want to make sure that everybody knows that glow means that we're live. So come on to Coffee with Democrats on Facebook. Then on Twitter Live, we are on @Coffee with Dems. We couldn't write out Democrats because we got cheated by Elon Musk, but we did get in Coffee with Dems. So @Coffee with Dems. So this is Coffee with Democrats. So Nana, we got to talk a little bit about coffee, and I got my coffee cup with me today. Let me see if I can turn it around here. I got it from the workroom in Wichita, Kansas, and it's advertising local coffee shops, local businesses. And you can see the Zaya, I think it's pronounced Zaya, sunburst there, showing the Native American sunburst within the O on local. And we are excited to support local businesses that we go to everywhere we go. We are from Wichita, Kansas originally, but we live in Norman, Oklahoma, and I do the same thing in Norman. I've got great places that I love, and I like to support all of our local businesses. So what is your favorite coffee that you like to have first thing, or coffee substitute if you don't like coffee? What's your favorite morning drink?
Well, I'll say that when it comes to coffee, I do espresso. I actually got it. It's I believe it's called Cafe Gavina. I might be pronouncing that wrong.
Oh, good.
This is it.
Oh, yes. Awesome.
Yes. So I do that, but honestly, I just need the caffeine. So there's like these little coffee shots you can buy.
Right.
And I'll just pop like a couple of them and then I'm ready to go, as opposed to, having to do the whole preparation.
Yeah, I
espresso. But yeah.
I understand that. I use the K cups from McDonald's. So, I'm pretty basic, pretty routine every day. Scott, you want to give us your little rundown because you've got a great story.
I've got my iced coffee in hand. That's year round. That's my go-to first thing in the morning. Very, very dark iced coffee with just a shot of cream. So about 3 of those, and I'm good to go till bedtime.
So this is Coffee with Democrats. We got to have these conversations. Got to have these opportunities to have a little drink.
Sure.
Because you know what, Coffee with Democrats. We got started on Coffee with Democrats because we enjoyed having these conversations, just like we had conversations when we were kids growing up. We'd see that group of old people over in the corner. Now I'm an old man, and I like to be able to say, well, you know what, I'm that guy over in the corner cafe with my friends every single day at the coffee shop, having conversations and solving the world's issues, no matter what they are. Only we're focused more on politics right now, and we should be, because of what's coming up in this next group of elections, in this election cycle. But we really enjoy having these conversations. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of a break and save your voice, Nana, because I'm going to talk a little bit about you for just a minute. So again, Nana Dankwa was born in Oklahoma City. I want everybody, if you don't know anything about Nana, understand this. He is native born. He is from Oklahoma. He understands Oklahoma. He was raised in House District 90, spent nearly his entire life. He attended school at Putnam City School District. He worked as a surgical technologist for 9 years while earning his bachelor's at the University of Central Oklahoma, and went on to earn his MBA and law degree from Oklahoma City University. He passed the Oklahoma State Bar and became a licensed attorney, and now works in banking compliance, consumer protection, and with organizations that promote civic engagement. Nana and his wife, Lauren, are raising their 2 children, Nana and August, with the same values they were raised on. As a father of 2 school-age children, Nana knows the struggles of our underfunded public school system. As a former healthcare worker, Nana knows the cost of a broken healthcare system and what it's having on our state. As an attorney, Nana knows corruption in politics has led to an unfair and broken system for Oklahomans. And as an engaged community member, Nana knows the struggle our neighbors are facing every day. Nana is stepping up with his experience in healthcare, law, business, and banking to bring real solutions get that real solutions to address the real problems and not the exaggerated extremism. And he's going to bring it to our state house and our state capitol. With your support, we will work hard he will work hard to represent House District 90 and all Oklahomans. That's the part I really get a kick out of on this. So thank you for coming on Coffee with Democrats, and help us kind of kick off this conversation with a few opening remarks, a few opening statements, whatever you want to call it, and just kind of let people know why voters in House District 90 should be voting for you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. You got a lot of my background in there. I do appreciate that. Like you mentioned, I have lived in House District 90 most of my life. Honestly, I was thinking just the other day about the fact that I think I've lived in 4 or 5 different locations within this district over the years. So I'm very familiar with it. One of the reasons why I'm running is because, like you mentioned, I'm a first-generation American. I'm also proud to call Oklahoma City my home, and I believe in representation, more or less. And another reason I'm running is because I have 2 children, like you mentioned, in public schools. So public education is very, very important to me. I understand that this vital importance it has in shaping our future and my children's future, all of our children's future. I also stand for the fact that parents should be not the sole authority, but the authority on the books their children can and cannot read, not some state agency or some type of special interest group. Also, my wife, as you mentioned, she's an APRN, which is an advanced practicing registered nurse. And I, again, was also a former healthcare worker. So we both understand the critical importance of accessible and affordable healthcare for all Oklahomans, and also the protection of women's reproductive rights. I'm also committed to building an economy that works for all, not just the privileged few. And finally, I believe that government works best when it's transparent and accountable to the people it serves. And if I'm lucky enough to be your state representative, I promise to my constituents that I'll be accountable and transparent as possible at all times. This is just some of the things I want to touch on. That's pretty much my platform, but those are just some of the reasons why I want people to vote for me. And I think that I'd be a good candidate for House District 90, besides the fact that I've lived here pretty much my whole entire life. But yeah, that's pretty much sums it up.
You know, basically what you just covered is the 3 pillars of what every politician, no matter what party they belong to, the 3 pillars of what people should be working on. That's education, healthcare, and jobs. And you just touched on all 3 of those just that quickly. And I mean, when you sum up what everybody who goes to the state house should be focused on, those are the 3 primary pillars. And you touched on that, and I'm so proud of you for doing that. And you also you also touched on a couple of the big issues that are just enormous issues for women in the state of Oklahoma. Women's health care and women's rights, the reproductive rights, those are big issues, and those should be the big issues that everybody that should be voting on this year. Now, if you support, you know, what we had when I was a kid growing up, I grew up with during the rights of, well, first of all, I grew up as a young child, as a young person, a young man. I grew up during the civil rights movement of the 1960s. And I saw firsthand why people needed to support all people, not just people that looked like me. That is something that I grew up from a very young age. I had a very young man that I grew up with. And the people in my neighborhood did not like it when I invited him over. And that was because of the color of his skin. And so, but that never deterred me, because again, you have to be taught racism. It's not something that you naturally have. People are people as a child. And so I had that belief. Second of all, as I grew up knowing that women had rights. Right. My grandmother, who was a single grandmother, she raised my, well, I said that wrong. It's my great grandmother raised my grandfather by herself, divorced in the early 1900s, and she could not own property, but she was able to successfully get a divorce. And that was virtually unheard of because women generally did not have rights. And that was one of the things my mother conveyed to me, is that she fought hard for women's rights. And then during the 1970s, I saw again, women were striving very hard for their reproductive autonomy. And I thought it was very important. All of my adult life for the last 50 years has been basically under the umbrella of women having all those rights. And now we're seeing an attack every single day by our Republican colleagues, and not just any Republican. Mostly it's MAGA, and these extremists within the Republican Party are really wanting to pull back and draw back not only the rights of women, but the rights of people of color as well. We're seeing an attack by our governor on DEI, and it hurts so much. So those are a lot of topics that we're going to be able to talk about, and we're going to kick it off for you to talk a little bit more about what you really think we need to be focused on when it comes to education and the crisis that we currently have with our public ed teachers.
Oh yes, the teacher crisis in our state, of course. As you may know, I've had the unique opportunity to experience education in Oklahoma at almost every level. So I value our teachers a great deal. Without teachers, I would not have been where I am right now. So I think that the current crisis we're facing, it truly does break my heart, because I believe Oklahoma teachers need to be, I would say, our teachers need to be compensated for the work they do for our children, raising the bright minds of the future and future leaders of our state. So as a state representative, I will support any critical investments to keep educator talent in our state and protect education funding and pay our teachers. I mean, I feel like whatever that requires, we need to do. Teachers are some of the most important people in the early stages of our life. They help raise us along with our parents. So I think that's a critical role. I think it's super important. And I think that teachers should be compensated for that critical work.
You mentioned your family early on in this broadcast. In transparency here, I am very fortunate to be friends with your wife and know your kids well. And this is the second time that you've run for this position. And you know what it was like in terms of the sacrifice for your family. And yet you as a family decided that you were going to do this again. So first of all, thank you for that. I can already tell that the momentum that you have built just through the door knocking and the talking to people has really, I think you laid the groundwork very well the first time around. But what has it been like for you trying to juggle all of these things, your career, your family, running for office? That's a whole bunch of stuff. How are you holding up?
Thank you, Scott. And it's been wonderful knowing you, and you do know my family very well. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It does take, you think, I'm just running, but it's the whole family's running, because they have to deal with the schedule. They have to deal with me being on those doors, going out knocking and things like that. So one of the harder things is not necessarily even like my wife or my children, it's my mom. She cannot stand me knocking on random people's doors, and she lets me know that all the time. So if I'm out, or she knows it's a time that I'm out, she'll call me and she'll be like, "Are you on those doors?" And I'm like, "Yes, Mom, it's fine." So those are the stresses. They do enjoy the fact that I run. I love doing this. It's been something that I've always been fascinated with politics since I was a child. I was raised in a home where we had the news on daily. I also watched cartoons. I'm a normal kid, but I did have an affinity to politics. So me being able to be at this stage in my life and get to kind of live out this process, or this I guess dream I've had, is awesome. However, like you mentioned, it can be very stressful on the family unit, but we do the best we can. I also work full time, like it was mentioned earlier that I do work in banking and consumer protection. So me juggling those things can be a bit tedious, but I think I've worked out a process. You know, I do find times to relax and find a little time here and there to try to get away from it, but it can be a bit consuming. But I think it's worth the work because we need people who actually care about people. And I feel that I truly do care. So, I mean, not to laugh, but it sounds weird talking about yourself like that, but I want to go do the good work. I feel like people are out there starving for it, and that I can help provide some relief in that regard. So it's all worth it.
That's outstanding. I'm glad to hear that.
Thanks, Scott.
One of the things we've got to talk a little bit more about is, and with your healthcare background, we really need to spend, well, first of all, before we leave education, let's talk about the radicalism that we're seeing within our state superintendent of public education and his radical beliefs. And can you talk a little bit about the way, you know, what you see and what's going on in what you perceive as is there any harm that he is doing, and what harm might that be?
Yeah, I believe there's harm in what the superintendent is doing. Honestly, one of the larger school districts in 90 is the Western Heights School District. I know that they've had some controversies over there. I know a few years ago, I think in 2022, I may be wrong, they were having issues with their school board and things like that. And now, fast forward, they're still going through it. It was a tough time for them during COVID. And then recently, they've had some issues with the principal, I believe. Ryan Walters attacked that principal for their personal well-being, their personal life outside of the school. So he has his eyes on this school district, similar to the way he had his eyes on the school districts in Tulsa. So it does hurt. The effects of what Ryan Walters is doing, I believe, has already been seen with the passing of Next earlier this year, and also through the attack on culture. He calls it what is this buzzword that he uses all the time? It escapes me. Woke. Right. Woke. So he uses woke as a way to say there's a code word for culture and beliefs. To take out wokeness, I guess, as he would phrase it, is honestly him removing the true story of American history, the people who helped make it good or bad, and our true story. Saying, you know, removing or attacking diversity, diversity and inclusion, or DEI. Often makes no sense to me. It's an insult to me because I am diverse, you know, and I also believe in inclusion. I believe that in order for everything to work, we need to have, I guess, a collection of people. It has to be people from different backgrounds and people with different ideas, and learning other people's stories, even though they may hurt their true stories. To remove those stories is to remove other people's American history. And I don't know how you can do that and justify saying you're teaching our kids a true education when you're only giving them something that has been fabricated and tailored to make one side or the other feel better. I believe that education feels good and it also hurts, but we learn from the pain, so we don't repeat those same mistakes. To erase those things means that we're guaranteeing ourselves to make those same mistakes again. Right. And I feel like that's a lot of the damage Ryan Walters is doing. Speaks to that, and we'll see. I honestly don't know what this man's true agenda. Well, I could say some things, but it's hurting us. It's hurting our education system. As you know, Oklahoma currently ranks 49th in education. Right. So I don't see how his policies and the things he's trying to do are going to improve that in any way to make us less educated.
No, as a matter of fact, since his tenure began, we've actually backslid. I believe we were in 48th place. We're down to 49th, and it depends on the poll you're listening to. We might actually be in 50th place, very last, as a state in the nation. So we are a state in crisis. And with his leadership, we're becoming even deeper in crisis because his attacks, not only, in my opinion, I think his attacks are harmful for our students and actually put our children in danger. We actually see bomb threats because of his out of control and reckless demeanor. Yeah, I'm holding back because this is your opportunity. But
it's hard to hold back, isn't it, Kevin? I understand.
It is.
Nana, taking what we're just talking about here in terms of education and the danger that is being done to our kids. And long term, though, I'm very concerned about what this means in terms of employment, because we've not had an increase in the minimum wage in forever, and now it's going to be a ballot measure, but even that is not anywhere close to a living wage. So when you consider that these kids are being led around by the nose by someone who's clearly not qualified for the job, what does it mean when these young people leave high school and they're not prepared for any real job opportunities?
Well, yeah, thank you for that question. I think, an uneducated. So with this, I think I'll answer it this way: with an uneducated workforce, which is what may happen with what Ryan Walters is doing to our education system, it only it doesn't only hurt the workers or the individuals seeking jobs. It hurts our state because it prevents corporations and businesses from perhaps coming to our state because of the workforce or the lack of skilled workers to being prepared to fulfill the jobs of the future. So yeah, I think that us putting out, I don't want to say us putting out a lackluster workforce doesn't do anyone any good, right? I think that's one of the reasons I think that businesses and corporations have stayed away from coming to Oklahoma, or reasons why they have honestly left our state, is because of the workforce not being prepared for the future. And it hurts our children. Now, there's other jobs out there other than college. And I do like to talk about vocational schools, things like that. Those are always options. And those are very good options. I believe that I read something the other day that Gen Z is really into the more vocational things. I actually had a great conversation, and I was able to visit the Metro Tech. I had a conversation with, my mind is everywhere, I swear. A former Senator, former representative, please, I'm messing this up. Michael Shelton, there it is. Goodness, I've met so many people, so many wonderful people. But I had an opportunity to speak with Michael Shelton and see what they were doing over at the Metro Tech. And I really was impressed. They had a whole restaurant there. So, and they were also like a full restaurant where people learning how to cook. And I'm also a product of a vocational school. That's how I became a surgical tech. So I think that those opportunities are there for our children. But again, to your original question, he's hurting our children by preventing them from being able to thrive in a workforce or in a future workforce that will require more skills than what we currently have. And to deny them any more, or to deny our children that opportunity, it hurts us and it hurts the state. Sorry for that fumbling.
Thank you. No. I appreciate it, because it's a big issue. I mean, employment in Oklahoma is a big issue. Yes, it's true that just about everywhere you go, you see a help wanted sign. But the reality is, we still have too many people working 3 or 4 jobs just to put a roof over their heads and food on the table. So
right. And it goes back again. not to interrupt, but yeah, the other part of your question is the minimum wage and having a living wage. And I know that there is something going around, and I actually put I believe I signed the initiative to give us a minimum wage. It doesn't make any sense how you could expect people to go home, take care of their families, and do all the other things we're required to do, and pay them minimum wage. It doesn't make sense now. Maybe at one time it made sense, but inflation, people can complain about that and how the cost of living has gone up, not just at the grocery store, but the cost of rent's gone up. It costs more to own a home. So if those prices go up, you have to provide your citizens with the money to survive, and not just to get by, but to have a real, meaningful life, to raise their kids the way they see fit, to be able to go on vacation from time to time, to be able to afford a meal outside the home, to feel like you are partaking in all that our country and our state have to offer. Whenever you give people just the minimum wage, and think about the minimum wage, they are not able to partake in all that our great state provides us, and this great country provides us. And it also limits what they can do for their children. So giving people paying people what they deserve to be paid is always a positive thing. And right now that's not happening with minimum wage.
Thank you for that.
There's a statement that I make a lot of times. We see businesses who are saying, we can't stay in business because we can't find workers. And my thought is, from the very beginning, if you're not willing to pay workers a living wage, you're never going to have the best workers available to help you succeed. So, it's in order to help business grow and help businesses thrive and survive, or survive and thrive in their survival, you've got to have people who are willing to pay them, more than the minimum. And you see it all the time.
You get what you paid for, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it
goes, if you pay people little, if you don't pay them a good wage, of course, I don't know how serious you expect them to take their job, right?
Exactly.
And so, if you want a good skilled workforce, or a worker that's going to, believe in the job and, grow your business, pay them, and they will. They will.
Yeah. If you invest in your workers, your workers will invest back in you.
100%.
So I completely agree with you on that. Scott, did you want to take on the next topic as well?
Which topic was that? I'm sorry.
The healthcare.
I'm not following along.
Yeah. So Nana, you really came about into the healthcare field. You kind of broke your teeth as a young adult.
Yes.
You worked in the healthcare field. You said your wife, Lauren, is also a healthcare, works within healthcare. So you want to talk to us a little bit about how broken the healthcare system is in Oklahoma, and the healthcare crisis that we have, and how you have a vision for how we can help turn that around and help people within the healthcare fields, feel like they're more stable and desired.
Yeah, of course. As you mentioned, I worked in the healthcare industry for 9 years. As a surgical tech, I used to work on eyeballs at the McGee Eye Surgery Center. One of the coolest jobs I've ever had. Whenever I became a surgical tech, I didn't even know about eyeballs or eye surgery. I knew that, we had eyes. Nonetheless, though, I didn't really think about the surgery aspect. I went there, I interned there, loved it, and then I ended up working there for 9 years. It also, but with that, it gave me insight into our healthcare system, and what a broken healthcare system can do and the toll it can take on our state. I feel that healthcare for everyone, it should be a right. I don't think that it should be a right. I don't think that's up for debate, who's more deserving and who doesn't deserve it. I believe that no Oklahoman should have to worry that they won't be able to obtain the help they need when they need it. My vision is, as representative, I want to advocate for transparent and affordable physical and mental health care, because it's not just the physical, it's also the mental, for all people. And I'm a strong advocate just because for my parents, as they're getting older, and a lot of our parents are getting older, protecting Medicare and Social Security, those are the things that are a safety net for our seniors. They worked hard to pay into those programs, and they're vital, and they deserve dignity and stability in life and in their retirement. So all those things, protecting those, creating a safety net, making sure that healthcare is affordable and accessible. And then again, as we spoke, making sure that the states or the government does not get in between a doctor and the patient, which I see a lot of things coming down the pike that do that. We talk about the protection of women's reproductive rights and things like that, that I believe that that's a big interference. Whenever I would work, one of the closest relationships, especially in surgery, it's not as intimate as a family practicing doctor and their patient, but even in surgery, that moment where the surgeon's talking to the patient and they're making the plan, and the doctor's trying to calm down whatever nerves they have, answer all the questions before they go into surgery. That's an intimate thing. That's between those two people. They know the doctor has a responsibility to take care of this person, and that person is submitting their care to that surgeon. So that's something that I don't believe anybody should interfere with. So yeah, of course, I think that, yeah, affordable, accessible healthcare, not interfering with the relationship between a doctor and a patient, and the protecting of all of our rights, including and especially women's reproductive rights, are important. So I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah. And specifically, how do you feel when it comes to healthcare? You talked a little bit about women's autonomy, and I want to ask you to go a little bit more in depth with women's rights, in particular when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah, obviously, I'm against the Dobbs decision. And as an attorney, I personally thought it was an egregious mistake by our Supreme Court to overturn such longstanding precedents, such as Roe. There's only so much to say. I mean, it's like you were mentioning earlier, we were growing up in a time when women had rights. So it's very hard to say that I'm going to fight for women's rights, because those rights were already fought for, right? And now they're being clawed back for whatever interest special interest groups have. But to say anything other than I support women's bodily autonomy, and as a state legislator, I will do all I can to restore a woman's right to choose, a woman's right to choose in our state. So yeah, I'm all for. And also, though, I will say what Dobbs did. It did wake up a lot of people, right? I think people seeing their rights taken away tends to raise an eyebrow. So it has motivated a lot of people to come out and vote. I don't think it's the only reason people should come out to vote, but it does show that people care, people pay attention once rights start being taken away. And women are speaking loudly now. They're voting, and they're making it be known that their reproductive rights are something that they hold very close to them. It's a very personal thing, and it's a right that they should have. They've grown up in a world with it, and I think it was an egregious mistake for the Supreme Court to take that away, and just, I guess, leave it to the states, right?
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Nana, because while I think it's easy for us to become complacent with the rights that we have, because for so long there was not an effort to take rights away from people. And now we're seeing even the Supreme Court is talking about they're open to reviewing same-gender marriage. Well, what's next? Is it interracial marriage? Is it taking away a woman's right to have a checking account or a credit card or buy property? This is a very
or they need their husband's permission, not to interrupt. But it's some of those ridiculous things. It's like, how far back are we going? So yeah. Go ahead, Scott. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. You didn't interrupt, and I think that these are all things that a legislator in Oklahoma has got to be aware of. And I'm really happy that you are looking at this in a big picture way. You're not talking about just the immediate time frame, but you're really looking looking out, looking forward. And I appreciate that because, obviously you have young children, and so you're concerned about their future. I'm concerned about my own as I'm aging. What does that mean in terms of healthcare? What does that mean in terms of my own safety? So I really appreciate you taking a long view. And I think that if you are successful in sharing that kind of thinking with your colleagues, that you have a strong opportunity to make some positive change in.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And as you mentioned, my children, yeah, their future really does matter to me. I have a daughter, and she's going to grow up in a world with less freedoms than her mom, right? Or even her grandmother had.
Yes.
That bothers me. That truly does bother me. And to say that, from state to state to state, it's okay depending on what state you live in. I think that's not fair. And as you can see now, there's states trying to pass bills and laws that restrict travel, which is unconstitutional in my view. But they don't want women to be able to go get any help. So that's scary. And so I'm trying to do my part as a state legislator and work on my state first and do my best to restore a woman's right to choose, because that woman eventually will be my daughter. And I want her to be able to choose, be it to have a child or not, if she cannot, or for whatever personal reasons she feels that she cannot have one. But to deny her that ability is shameful.
I agree.
As a person who is coming from a highly educated, you've got your degree, you've got your Juris Doctorate, you're somebody who has a very massive amount of knowledge and experience within the educational system. You're going to be going to the House as the representative for House District number 90, and you're going to be rubbing shoulders with people that are in the House of Representatives who, number one, they've never gone to college, who represent people in Oklahoma. They disagree with science. We've seen that with COVID. They disagree with our education system, our DEI. You see that's under attack. Again, that's because of ignorance. And these same people perpetuate this ignorance. Again, they don't understand the scientific method. They've never been exposed to a hypothesis or a null hypothesis or developing a conclusion, a masterful conclusion. And you're going to be dealing with these people. How do you come from a place of education to be able to work with and express to these people that their views are not only flawed, but they're dangerous and they're ignorant? How do you work with and work through that kind of complex leadership, because they are leaders, but they have no leadership skills. They have no leadership background.
Well, I think all I can say to that is I'll do my best. No, that's a great question. I think a lot of us are trying to figure that out right now as the Democrats. How do we get people to start paying attention to the world they actually live in and what's going on around them, as opposed to the one they would prefer to live in, which is what I believe you're saying, that some of the colleagues I may have will want to live in a world that doesn't actually exist. There's a lot of that going on across the nation. It's one of the most frustrating things to me. I grew up in a world where, up was up and down was down. Now there's so many different, now there's so many different directions you can go anywhere. I think a lot of that's due to the, proliferation of the internet and then social media. You can always find your own world that will accept your views. And I think that a lot of the lawmakers have also fallen into that. It used to be they would rise above that stuff, right? We meet common ground, but I think that they enjoy being in their silos. I think they like going to, Fox News and those other conservative websites and reading that stuff and believing that that's the reality they live in. They like to, it's just whenever, and I will say one thing I do love about Oklahoma is that out in public, we are very cordial. We open doors for each other. You know, we say thank you, hello, how are you? But I feel like what happens is when we go home, that turns off. And instead of us engaging in the world around us, a lot of people, particularly on the conservative side, tend to let the world be told to them. And that's by turning on their TV, they have the world fed to them because they're busy. I get it. Everybody's tired. You don't have time to review everything. But I'm getting off topic. But to get back to what you're saying, how I work with these individuals is like I do with people I know now. I just try to explain to them logically what's happening, the impacts on the legislation they support and what they pass. Try to make it personal, like, letting people know that, these anti-DEI things and the way you take books out and you've taken Frederick Douglass out of schools and banned his book. Those things only hurt me. And it's like, I have conservative friends. And so I try to let them know, do you want to hurt me? Because those votes and those people you're putting in power do not support the existence that I have or would like to have in this state. So bringing it home, making it personal helps. But right now, like you said, it's very polarized. But my best thing is to be logical. I come from a legal background. Things are rational. There's a reason. Can it be explained? Is this a rumor? Are there facts that support what you're saying? What are the impacts of, whatever is being proposed? But yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to work with people, but like I said, I will do my best, but I cannot pull somebody out of a silo. I think the best way for us to start seeing, getting back to more rational governing and living in a world that is actually around us, the world that we all have to live in day to day, is to just start electing people who believe in the world that we actually live in and not the one that we would prefer to live in.
And that's such
very well said.
Yeah, great statement. Absolutely. It's you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make that horse drink. And that's right. Kind of the same philosophy that we have with so many people around our country is, these same people benefit daily from science, and yet they want to reject science, and which yes. It's so amazing to me when people start talking about, we need to ban mask mandates. We need to ban masks from public. Don't allow people to wear masks in public. All right, I say to those same people, hey,
it makes no sense.
If you don't believe in science and you don't believe in having a mask, go to the COVID unit without a mask. Put your money where your mouth is, or put your ignorance where your mouth is, and go up there and breathe that bad air. If you don't, if you don't believe in science, don't wear a hard hat in a construction zone. If you don't believe in science, don't wear a respirator when you're working around, heavy chemicals. If you don't believe in science, take your boots off and wear flip-flops in the workplace.
Right.
It's just,
right. All those signs. I believe that people, there's such a wonderful, comfortable world that has been created, right? And a lot of people didn't get to see the creation of all this. We were all just born into this wonderful, tidy thing. And we don't realize that a lot of the things we take for granted, like a hard hat, boots, steel-toed boots, stuff like that, wearing a mask because you don't want to get sick. These things were once asked of people. They weren't just as is. So this is nothing. So what we're experiencing now with COVID, these things are no different than when somebody got hit on the head and realized, oh, you know what, we should probably wear a hard hat. Or they dropped a piece of equipment on their foot, that can no longer work. So they're like, we've probably steel-toed boots in this out here. It's not necessarily denying or trying to force something on somebody. It's realizing the reality and accounting for it and adjusting, right, and adapting. And so with COVID, at the time I remember COVID. My wife, of course, a nurse, when she was coming home during that time. I mean, we have young kids. She wouldn't the way my house is set up. You can come into the garage, the washer and dryer's there. She would come in, get out of her car, and just throw the clothes straight in that washer and dryer, and then come in, and then go take a shower, and then she was ready to talk to us. because it was real. She got to see what was happening. She didn't do that because she wanted to upset a conservative commentator. She did that because she was literally at a hospital where people were dying of COVID, and she didn't want to bring that home. She was reacting to what she saw with her eyes, right? And that's what I just want people to do, react to what you see with your eyes. And so, yeah, we have to wear masks because when people cough, you can get sick, and this thing is killing folks. So let's try to make it comfortable for everybody. Let's all try to get through this together, I think, is a lot of what some people on our side were wanting to do with COVID. And then other people saw it as an affront on their freedoms and liberties, where, I mean, yeah, it's a free country, but we've had all kinds of freedoms that have been reasonably tailored to, to fit within society, because my freedom ends, where yours begins. So, and then that whole thing. So anyway, yeah, you have to believe in science. I mean, you have to have guardrails. You have to have speed limits, right? You can't just get in your car and speed, go straight, not turn, pay attention to any of the signs, and expect to make it home, right? But, people want to accept some signs to deny others whenever it's politically advantageous.
Right. Well, I am going to, I'm going to pull up a screen, because we've got to do one more thing. We've got to ask people to both use their time, their efforts, and their fortunes to help you with your effort to help, represent House District number 90. So bear with me just a second. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to pull up your website, because this is so important for people to know how to go and help you, because you've got a website that's been perfectly, I'm very impressed. The very first thing on the very first page is you're working hard for hardworking people. And the one thing that you can do to do something about it is click that red little icon right there that says donate. And it takes you right to, it tells you again, your ideas and your policy and your background is right there. And if you want to help, you can come over here and you can start at $25. Or if you don't want to start at $25, you want to just put in $5. Just put in $5 right there. Yes, count me in, or monthly, or no, donate just one time and then pay with your card. It's all very simple and easy. And I ask people to do this all the time. That is your fortune, how you can help with your fortune. But we can also help with other ways. And other ways that we need people to help is again, House District number 90 is basically the west side of Oklahoma City, from almost the Canadian County border down through Will Rogers Airport, all of that southern Kilpatrick loop that goes around, almost down to Mustang. Or does it include Mustang? I could think it includes parts of Mustang.
There's a little, so it goes west all the way to a county line, which and then, so I'll just let you know. So north, the furthest north it goes is Northwest 16th, which is actually just right outside my window here. And then it goes almost as far south as Newcastle, right?
Right.
And then, and then west, like I said, the county line, and then east about I-44.
So
it's kind of the boundaries there.
Mm-hmm. It's not rural, but there's a lot of rural district there. But there's also very the affluent houses that are out there as well. But the point that I'm trying to get to is, we need people to be able to go door to door, knock on the doors, and let people know that Nana is a great candidate. He's somebody that we're excited about. Please consider him and that's that door knocking. And we saw it in 2018, we saw it in 2020, we saw it in 2022. The people the reason we're losing, bear with me just a second. I gotta. Sorry about that. Got a little frog in the throat. But the reason we're having Republicans that are going in there, they do outnumber us to a point, but it's not that overwhelming. We can beat these people by getting out to vote. We've got to get people to vote, invest in themselves by voting for the people that they want to represent them. And Nana is a person that can help, and we need to get out to vote. So going door to door, asking the people to commit to going to the ballot box and voting is a big deal. Do your civic responsibility and vote. Get excited about this because we have an exciting candidate for House District number 90. Go out there, door knock, make phone calls, do the text messages, send out mailers, sign them individually, write just a note. Hey, please vote for Nana. Sign your name, give them your telephone number if they want to call you and tell them, I support this guy. And then, that's your resources. That's what you really have to, in your time are the two biggest things that you can do to help Nana get elected. And again, making it exciting. Don't talk about the opponent and how bad the opponent is or how this opponent never does anything to support me or this. It don't matter. We've got somebody who can go to the state and make positive change. And let's do that. So again, it's going to this up here at the top. You can just go to secure.actblue.com/donate/HD90. It's as simple as it gets right there. Or if you don't want to do that, just go to Nana for HD90. It's right up here in the top, NANAFOR HD90.com. Go to that website. The very first thing you're going to see is donate. That is your riches. You can donate with your riches. The other thing you can do is sign up and join the team. There's a place right there for you to put your first name, last name, email, your mobile ID. I agree to the terms. Click that. You'll keep a list. Somebody will contact you, and we'll get people to come out there and help. And then lastly, here is Nana and his family. I want people to know that Nana is a family man, and he is willing to help other family men and women and people of all colors, all cultures. It doesn't matter. He's a big tent candidate. We need to have somebody that can go into the state house, spend the time with some of these people that have no scientific background and be able to educate them. Just take their time and walk them through. This is what you do in order to build a law. It's not something that you can do through conjecture or rumor. It's something you have to actually have a method and a process to make it happen. And Nana has that skill and he has that knowledge. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to jump back here. Nana, thank you for coming on Coffee with Democrats. It is an exciting time and place to be on here with you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I think I have disappeared off the screen. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can. I don't know what has happened. What did I do there, Scott? Did I break it?
No, I don't think you did anything. I think Nana's video is frozen, but we can still hear you, Nana. And
okay.
Really quickly, I just want to say how proud I am to call you a friend because you and I met thanks to your wife when you were running for city council. And
That's right.
I've seen the growth and I've seen your passion and compassion both just lead you forward. So I am thrilled with your campaign and I can't wait to call you representative.
Thank you, Scott. I really do appreciate that. And I still remember the first time I called you to ask you about how do I run for run for office pretty much. And I mean, it's just ever since then, I've been on this journey. I've loved it. I've loved all the people I've got to meet. I've loved this opportunity. I've loved having the opportunity to help bring change and relief to someone out there who's really seeking it. And I'll do the best I can if I'm elected. So again, thank you. I asked for everybody in the House District 90 to vote for Nana for HD90. And yeah, thank you guys. This has been a wonderful experience. I'm sorry I lost video. I hate that, but We got most of me, I think.
Yeah, we
Hey,
did.
if it happens on MSNBC, then it can happen here too.
There you go. Yeah.
Sure. Good point. Good point. Well,
So-
thank you guys so much. This has been wonderful. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And again, that we appreciate you taking your time out of your day, and your time is valuable, and we want to appreciate you for spending time with us. For next week, we're going to have Crystal LaGrone. Crystal is a champion from the Tulsa area, Wagner, I believe it is, and we're really looking forward to having her come in and talk to us about her campaign. And so again, for folks who are listening this time, thanks for coming on Coffee with Democrats. Again, there's places we need for you to help convey the story and convey the message for Nana Dankwa. We need to get him in there. So spread the word, make this exciting.
Oh,
we really need to
one
do
last
everything
thing.
we can. Oh, absolutely. Please jump in there.
Sorry. Yes. One last thing. My campaign manager would be upset if I didn't mention the fact that I am having a day of action on the 25th.
Excellent.
I believe it's at South. Yeah. So that if you can go to my Facebook page and see that, we're gonna go try to knock some doors and get the word out even more. So, yeah, wanted to mention that.
Awesome.
We appreciate you very much, Nana. Thanks so much for coming on Coffee with Democrats. And again, everybody, until we see you next week, thank you so much for supporting Coffee with Democrats and helping us convey the word and spread the good works of what the Democratic Party is doing in Oklahoma and our great candidates. We've got such great candidates everywhere. We've got to do everything we can to support all of them. And until next time, everyone, please be safe.
Thank you. Bye.
This segment of Coffee with Democrats is brought to you by Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law. With family ties to Oklahoma and the legal field that goes back as far as the early 1900s, Steve Holcomb is a well-known and respected attorney at law in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. You can trust Steve Holcomb, Attorney at Law, with your legal needs. For generations encompassing over 100 years, the Holcomb family name has practiced law and served the cattlemen of Oklahoma. From Marion Holcomb, Steve's great-grandfather, who became a judge among the lands of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in southwest Oklahoma in the early 1900s, who then moved to Pawhuska to practice law, to his grandfather, Thad Holcomb Sr., and his father, Lee Holcomb, who both served as presidents of the Osage County Cattlemen's Association. The Holcomb name has been and still is the trusted name for Oklahomans. As an enthusiastic supporter of Coffee with Democrats, who promotes the Oklahoma standard of service, honor, and kindness, Steve Holcomb is the attorney we recommend going to when you have general practice legal needs. Call 918-287-8762. That's 918-287-8762 to schedule a consultation. Initial consultations may be provided free of charge, or go to holcomb.legal for more information.